States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we pray, just a word, I'd like to invite, on behalf of all the pastors and churches, I'd like to invite you to a National Day of Prayer on May the 2nd. Be over at the fairgrounds, and things will start at 5 o'clock. And so if anyone would like to come, we'd like to have you be a part of that. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for the warmth, the sunshine. Thank you for all the moisture we had this winter, but Lord, we're glad it's warming up. And we thank you for that. Thank you for the hope that comes from the growth of the grass and the budding of the trees and the songs of the birds. Thank you for new life. Father, as we look at our nation, we look at our county, we need new life. We need, Lord, your hand upon us. So I pray today for our president. I pray, Lord, for all the turmoil. And God, I ask you that you would put an end to it. Father, I pray today for our state. The same thing is true as we pray for our elected officials, our governor and everyone else. God, I pray that you would turn the hearts of our elected officials to the people, to their voice. And every day, give them a sense of their responsibility to you. And Lord, I pray for our commissioners here in Elbert County. And I ask too, Lord, that you would help them to seek your wisdom, because we know ultimately that means the best for all of us, because you love us more than anyone. Father, I pray against the fear in our nation right now, the anger. And I pray that truly it would be more important to have a relationship with you, with each other, that love would abound. God, I ask you now for your blessing upon this meeting and everyone here. Lord, if there's conflict, division, questions, I pray that they could be answered and that your very best would come as a result of this meeting today. I love you, Lord. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, John. Yeah, that's a little out of order, but as the pastor mentioned, the upcoming National Day of Prayer, we were presented with a proclamation. If you guys don't object, I'd like to introduce that now. But it's just a recognition of the annual National Day of Prayer of May 2nd, 2019. And it begins on this year's National Day of Prayer. Let us come together, all according to our own faiths, to thank God for our many blessings and ask for continued guidance and strength. It covers the history of the National Day of Prayer, points to the Declaration in the Colorado Constitution, but it ends with a resolve, and I guess that was probably the important part here, was therefore be it resolved by the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners that we do hereby recognize and join our President and our Governor in proclamation of May 2nd, 2019 as a National Day of Prayer. We encourage all citizens to observe this day, reflecting on the blessings of our nation, state, and country that we have received, and the importance of prayer in the lives of our fellow citizens. So I would accept a motion to publish the proclamation.
I move that we publish the proclamation declaring recognition of annual National Day of Prayer, May 2nd, 2019.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Alrighty. Moving on, I'd like to call us to order as the Elbert County Board of Health. It's 9:04. Amanda, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Richardson.
Present.
Commissioner Pettit.
Here.
Here.
Alrighty, Jerry, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Commissioners. Is that on? Okay. I'm Jerry Spear, Director of Health and Human Services. and I am here today for our quarterly Board of Health meeting to give updates about programs and things that are going on. Sorry, I guess there's a pin, but it's one of ours. Things that are going on in the public health and environmental side of our agency. So, sorry, I had documents on my computer, so I'm kind of winging it with numerous documents, so I will be stumbling a little bit through some of this. But my computer would not go on this morning. I think it's all the updates that they keep doing, so I tried numerous times and it never cooperated, so we will be putting in a help desk ticket to IT. So I think the first, and I can introduce Valerie Warhay. I brought her along. She is our public health administrative assistant, and so she's my backup, and she can, especially the first three topics with just the data and all of that she can actually probably answer any questions that you guys may have. So I attached the first the OWTS / what we consider septic permits update, and I think you had that attachment with our current numbers. We are not seeing a significant increase at this point in time. It's a little bit lower than what was last year, and but we're just keeping track of those, and those are the new any housing sales. Sorry, I also have a headache, even though Pastor Smith said, I'm with him, I love the trees budding and all that, but they are not loving me. So they've given me quite the allergy headache. So, so we are not seeing any significant increase in those right now that are usually done in regards to when anyone is looking at purchasing a home, building a new home that is not on the water system such as the town system, and any repairs that need to be made. Correct? Okay. I don't know if you have any questions about that or not.
No.
Okay. The next one is just the food licenses. Again, there was an attachment to that, just again giving the numbers. Again, nothing too significantly out of the ordinary. We usually see the most of that work done in December and January because the retail food licenses expire December 31st.
I know the couple of new restaurants that look like they're opening in Elizabeth, or do they keep in contact with you when those are going on? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, and we work in conjunction with town as well.
Yeah.
When they do apply for their business license.
Okay, so that's when they reach out to you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have a good working relationship with the town of Elizabeth, and like I say, they inform us. So we're got that process down pretty well, I think. There's also I attached our current vital records statistics, and that's the issuance of birth and death certificates. And we put a note down there that effective last July, the actual cost, there was a cost of increase from $17.25 per certificate to $20. That's a state requirement per certificate. So again, I think there's not a lot of fluctuation. Valerie, you did say that we'll see probably fewer requests for death certificates. Is that correct?
Correct, yes, the state puts it on electronic
Okay.
versus the paper system.
Okay, so these numbers are just certificates that were requested, not
Yes.
the total number of births or deaths from the previous
Right.
years.
Those are just the ones that were issued through our department. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they were all, like I say, they have another avenue to access them. And they actually can go to any office in the state to get the records. So it's, yes, so everyone has the opportunity to go to different vital records offices to get that information. Any questions about that? Okay.
Is your mic on? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I guess just need to be closer to it.
It does need to be closer. I'm
Yeah.
looking, sorry about that. I'm
I-
looking down and reading and not thinking about talking into the microphone. I'm sorry about that. Because
I share that.
I'm usually not too silent. I'm not too quiet, but I'm just trying to read and process at the same time as I'm talking. Sorry about that. So the next agenda item that I had down was a CHAPS update. and that is the community health assessment process that it needs to be done every 5 years. And it's the process that informs the work for, and the direction for the next 5 years of work that we do in the public health departments across the state. And I just had the meeting late yesterday afternoon. I was just brought some information. They said we're not even close to public dissemination of this because we're at the first part of the process, which again is the assessment process. And that's one of the folders I did not pick up. Oh, great. So I will wing that one a little bit. So what has happened is right now it's kind of an 8-prong process that, again, we get to a performance process. And I don't think it's a health improvement process, but for the county. And where we're at, they just brought information about beginning of the assessment process. And we actually are operating off of information, besides the significant number of data that can be pulled off numerous websites. We had 350 surveys done that were from residents of Elbert County, and a few were outside of the county, but that will really start helping to inform our process as we move through this. It's a great number. It was a great number. It was a little skewed, and maybe some of, when we look at I just was able to glance at some of it because I've got numerous documents that they provided, just because age group and different, we don't have a lot of young people in there. There's some different discrepancies in that. So what we need to do now is really work through and analyze the data, but it is a community process, so we will want stakeholders in a part of that process. What the state has asked me to do, I'll be kind of intermixing some of the different, I broke it down by topics, but all of these go hand in hand to what is happening in the department. So they've asked me to put that piece on pause until we can hopefully hire a new public health administrator. They believe that would be really a good process for that person to be a part of, and to make sure that person has the buy-in and can help move that forward, which we currently have that position open. Our last public health administrator resigned at the beginning of March. So that one will be one that we'll be posting hopefully as of next week. So, but what we did talk about is, because intermixed in through all of these different topics that I have down here, is looking at our capacity assessment. What do we have? What capacity do we have to do some of these programs internally? What can be done collaboratively? And so they said, well, I could go to jumping past the assessment a little bit and looking at capacity assessment. So they are going to send a guidance on that process to me in a couple of weeks. They're just working on it now. So I don't have any kind of information to provide yet. There's nothing that is pulled together and ready for dissemination and decision making, but that's where we're at in that process. Okay. Tobacco. Let me jump to the staffing update, and then I can talk about the tobacco grants. So, since I already started on that, so we will be looking for a public health administrator. We currently have an environmental health specialist, one that does the majority of all of the restaurant inspections and the on-site wastewater treatment systems and the daycares and any camps that we need to, the few that we have in our agency. We also have a part-time environmental health person, as we all know. Gary Hartzell has been doing that for many years, and he's still working with us part-time on an as-needed basis. So when Stacy potentially is at trainings or is off on leave, we aren't missing the boat that if somebody needs a septic inspection, because it's a quick turnaround, as we know, when it's coming to selling of houses and all of that, it could hold up a closing. And so if we can, we try to accommodate if hopefully they've given us enough notice and that we can accommodate that. So we don't want to have any gaps there, and that's worked really well. One of the things we have had out there was a posting for a senior environmental health specialist. And I think that's since last May. Again, that was in my notes on my computer, but I think I've got May, June, was right in that time frame. I've had the public health director from the state Department of Public Health and Environment at my side when we've been reviewing this. We haven't had a lot of applicants over that time frame, but the State Department's been there to help me review the applications to see if they fit the requirements, and actually to do the interviews. And we haven't filled that position in this time frame. Part of that work was to look at some anticipation of increase in the septic permit requests, which we aren't seeing, and to do maybe some more proactive work. We are doing everything required by the state currently, and we aren't missing a beat on that, but we'd like to be a little more proactive and be able to go out prior to the septic work being done, that we could actually go out and Stacy or one of our workers could go out and look at it beforehand and really work with the homeowners to do that work up front, and not just like one inspection after the fact. So it'd be a little more inclusive process. So that was our hope. We also had, and again, I'm jumping a little bit because it all goes hand in hand, but the Metro wastewater contract, that was one of the roles we were hoping for that position.
I was going to ask if that
Yes.
level 2 could
Yes,
do that.
yes. So we were hoping to have that covered with that person too, with that FTE. So, and the job description for the, was written by Mr. Butts, who was our interim public health director. As we know, he's quite experienced. He came from Tri-County, but he wrote it up before he left. So I'm having that one reviewed by the state too, to say, are we asking too much? Is this required for all of the work that we're asking? So I pulled that one off of our site to look at until I could get some feedback from them. I'm also exploring numerous other options with that. I'm a little concerned about, I know we have the potential to draw down $40,000 according to this IGA with Metro Wastewater. I don't know that we have that kind of work, even if we get somebody to do the work. I think that's a little optimistic. I'm not sure where that number came from. As you know, we all inherited that IGA that's a 10-year intergovernmental agreement that runs until December 31st of 2022. So the work wasn't being done when I started, and we haven't been able to really get it going. Even when Mr. Butts was here, he wasn't doing any of that work either. So I don't know the real need. I don't believe it's $40,000 worth of work that we would be. That's the potential, that money's sitting there that we could draw down if we have that kind of work. So there's some other things I'm exploring. I'm having them look at our job description. I'm thinking that maybe we could, a few options, potentially maybe look at it as a part-time, so maybe there's an expert out there that would really just like to do some of that work on the side instead of trying to wrap it all into one job. And if we do that, I'm also thinking that we could look at increasing Mr. Hartzell's hours, which he'd be more than happy to do, and we could cover that other piece of that job description. There's also potential, there's always the potential in the public health administrator role. That's one of the things that we have included in there, that depending on their background, they could either do environmental health work for us, which I would hope then they would be able to take that on, or a nursing aspect. So that's included in there. We have what we're calling Eastern Collaborative. I think there's another word in there for our not contiguous, but our counties to the east of us, our southern counties, that the state has given us a grant that we work more collaborative together and work on some projects together and develop some strategic planning. And so I wanted to explore that option. And those counties are Elbert, Kit Carson, Lincoln, and Cheyenne. And so I wanted to look to see if potentially they have someone that could do part of that work for us too. So that's part of the reason why yesterday the state said maybe we should be looking at a capacity assessment, because we have a lot of these things in motion to be looking at what we can do internally, what other options we have if we can't hire people directly. So That's part of the staffing process that we're looking at. There's another opportunity, a couple of the other opportunities that go across the board too, that the Kit Carson director has approached me and asked if I would be interested in doing a job sharing with their nurse that they have located in Elbert County that does Elbert County work. Kit Carson Public Health actually draws down the dollars from the partnership program. They were hoping that would be a full-time. They were hoping that would be a full-time position, and finding that's not necessarily me. So that person actually resides here, is doing work here. Unfortunately, I had a meeting on Monday scheduled with the director. She had a personal tragedy, a death, a significant death. So I wasn't able to get with her about details. So so she just broached that idea with me. I was hoping to have a little more details for you on that, but I think there's an exciting opportunity there. And then we could do, hopefully pull things in like the WIC program, really good, look at the immunization. What am I doing wrong?
Nothing to be Mike, just I.
Oh, okay.
Check while I
All right.
Okay, so, so we can hopefully look at broadening, I don't know if we would, one of the assessment pieces is, do we want to do immunizations out of our office or just support the local providers now and be more of an educator about those
Okay.
pieces? There's a maternal child health program that needs to be, overseen by a nurse, and we have the epidemiological pieces that the nurse would be working hand in hand with the environmental health specialist. So there are numerous, I think there's numerous opportunities that we can improve on our services there if that collaborative works too. So that's part of the staffing, different staffing pieces we're looking at. I have a lot of things in motion, or at least on the discussion plate, but I don't have any final decisions on a lot of these things. And there's another piece that when I'm looking at staffing on the tobacco grant, which is operated, the Tri-County receives those dollars to do the tobacco grant work in Elbert County. And so instead of trying to make that a small piece of somebody's job here, they would like to look at hiring a full-time person that would cover us, Douglas, and there's some contiguous kind of out in the I think they said Deer Trail, Bennett, some of our neighbors, which that person could be, could live in Elbert County. They would asked about at least having that person work part-time out of our office so we'd have a presence. So there's a lot of staffing opportunities and options that I'm looking at right now, and that's why I put that down there as a separate item. But as you see, it kind of intertwines with a lot of the different programs and projects that I listed separately. Okay.
Questions or comments?
Just that inspection out there for the Metro Waste District, that's over 30,000 acres of Elbert County. So it's a serious thing you need to be thinking about.
I agree. And that's, I would love to have somebody that can do that for us, and we'll look at any option and opportunities that we can find.
Is it possible to work without Arapahoe County on that, or
I tried.
did you? Okay.
Yeah, I approached the person, because that person works for Tri-County. I tried that a couple of years ago and said, hey, could that maybe you expand the work out and do it for us, since they're doing it already, same areas, same work, and that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Have there been any discussions with Metro Wastewater about the IGA or their understanding of what they owe if we engage somebody? I mean, you said you didn't feel like the money might be there, but
The money is there.
They did agree to pay
Yes.
it if we did our side.
I
so-
actually have met with them, and I've toured the facility, and a couple of years ago when it was brought to for a while it was sitting there, nobody even knew it existed. But so I went and met with them directly and had a lengthy conversation. I've met with, I think of Sean's last name, our engineer that we have.
O'Hearn.
Yes, so we even tried to contract with him and to do the work for us. So we've tried some different options, but he and I went and met with them, and the money is there, but we have to have a detailed invoice. It can't be that we're saying, we have to actually be doing the work, and submitting that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
so, well, you know, some dollars especially, it seems like from the public health arena, it's kind of a grant, and so they give us the bulk dollars, and it's not tied to specific detailed invoices. So this one is. So I have met with them, so I do know what we need to be doing in that and how to pull down the dollars. It's just I need a person that has that background and that specialty that can actually do the monitoring. They also provide us, we get routine and constant reports from them about the chemical analysis, and so they are doing what they're supposed to be doing on their end of it.
No, and I know with I guess the difficulty in hiring, you know, sometimes that's linked to the amount we can pay, and are we looking at have we looked at part of this $40,000 as potentially part of that person's salary, or?
That would be, yes.
Or the ability
Yes.
to raise what we could pay?
Yes, yes, so, yeah, I mean, I think that, like I say, I welcome any other, you know, other suggestions, and we're gonna look at
Okay.
everything, because I agree with you, I really want that work done. And so since it's back on my plate again, and I don't have any public health director, public health administrator, I want to, you know, it's obviously not my only focus. There's a lot of other things here, and all the human services sides too. But
Yeah.
it's not something I'm overlooking by any means.
Okay. Any public comment on this area? I know there was a lot to unpack there, so I know you had mentioned you had some. I don't know if you had a presentation planned or just notes on
I
your-
did not. I
Okay.
just had more
I was gonna
formal
say-
information I wanted to be able to read, to,
Okay.
you know, so I could reference it. Yes.
Okay.
So no,
Yeah,
I didn't have a
was gonna say, if you'd had a
presentation.
presentation,
I
we'd get
did
that
not.
online for the public, but seeing no public comment, if you don't have anything else, I'd appreciate your time this morning.
Sure.
And
Great.
thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
So I will close the Board of Health meeting at this time and reopen us as the Board of County Commissioners for our regular business meeting. First item is approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Next item is the consent agenda.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as presented with a note that in the chip seal contract that there was a spot where it said 20 days for the completion, and it should be 120 days. Other than that, everything remains the same.
That's just a typo.
Yes, it was just a typo.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda with a minor correction to the chip seal contract. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Elected officials, staff reports. Eileen, you look like you have something to say.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Eileen Krauss, Deputy County Manager. I have the distinct pleasure of announcing to you the winners of our Pedal the Plains photo contest. As you may remember, back in December, we announced a countywide photo contest to commemorate the 2018 Pedal the Plains and to show off the beauty and the Western spirit of the residents of Elbert County. And so one of the first things that I had the pleasure of doing when I came to work here in February was to help guide the judging of that. And we had a tremendous response from all of our citizens, and a tremendous amount of enthusiasm online on the Facebook judging. And so I am pleased to announce that the winner in the youth category is Ms. Bonnie Skalecki, who is here with us today. And then the winner in the adult category is John Duval, who I don't believe is here today. He's a physician here in Elbert County, and he was working this morning. But we do have Bonnie here, which is very exciting. We have her photo there. Her sunset photo of the barns is there. And then Mr. Duval's photo, the sunrise photo of the tractor out in the field, is there. And so I would like to present Bonnie with, or provide to you to present to Bonnie with her prize, $250 prize that comes from the proceeds from the Pedal of the Plains event. And then I'd like to take a photo of her and her family here with commissioners, if that would be okay. So. Come on over here and walk up. Gonna stand, gonna come up and take a photo? Let's see if I can close this, bring the shades in, that'll help the photo a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I'm gonna walk right in front of your photo. Oh, that looks great. Okay, smile everybody. There you go. Great. So these will be hung up here in the building for a while, and then we'll work with the library and the historical museums to have some of theirs. Thank you so much for coming. Next time we can have professional photos.
This was kind of an interesting project because we published quite a few hefty documents over the last couple of years and realized we didn't have rights to the photos that we wanted to use. So not only does this help highlight the county, but it, as part of the process, everybody that submitted a photo kind of gave us the rights to use them so we can continue to kind of promote the county using those. But again, thank you so very much. A lot of talent there. It's kind of interesting, the bookends of sunrise and sunset on the
There's
two.
definitely a theme, yeah.
Yeah, so appreciate that. Do we have any other?
I do. I just wanted to give you an update briefly on our facilities project. As we've talked before, we have a project underway to do a pretty comprehensive assessment of all of our county facilities. We had a pre-proposal meeting for our request for proposal process last week on Thursday. We had over a dozen firms show up to tour our facilities and take a look at what they're facing when they propose to do this project for us. So I was very pleased with the outcome. We toured this building, we toured the Road and Bridge, kind of didn't really tour, but stuck our head in over at the Road and Bridge shop. They were working hard over there, so we didn't want to interrupt them. We took a brief drive around the fairgrounds, drove past the Health and Human Services facility and the SEB building, and answered a lot of questions on the part of the consultants who were there. So I was pleased. The RFP closes to questions tomorrow, so we'll issue one last addendum on Monday answering all of those questions, and then the proposals are due on May 14th, and we will convene our evaluation committee shortly thereafter. So that program's underway. I'm very excited about the response. And then also, as you know, our facilities manager position has been vacant for a few weeks. It is a really critical position that will help shepherd this project forward. So we will be posting for that position hopefully this week. This week, definitely. And hopefully have somebody on board to help move that the facilities assessment project forward. So, and that's what I've got.
Commissioners, Sam Alworth, County Manager. The only other announcement that I have is today is Administrative Professionals Day. So we just, I sent out an all-staff email thanking them for their work today and every day and keeping us in track and online and making sure we are organized and managed professionally. So it is Administrative Professionals Day. They are a critical part of the county, and I appreciate every single one of them.
Thank you, as do we. I think I saw a sticker earlier today, yeah. So is-
denim.
Is tomorrow the denim day? I think that was our,
Today is denim, and the stickers that you see around on employees' jackets, I'm not wearing my sticker, Michelle is wearing her sticker over there, is an effort to recognize and educate, support survivors of sexual violence. It has to do with a case involving a pair of jeans that took place somewhere else, but the bottom line is that it brings attention to survivors of sexual violence and supports them, and that's why you see a lot of county employees wearing jeans today on a Board of County Commissioners Day, which is unusual. So, thanks.
Well, thank you. Any other staff or elected official comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to open public comment. Does anybody have any comment on anything that's not to be covered on the agenda today? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to actually discussion, which we have nothing programmed for today. So our action items for today, the first is approval of the April 10th, 2019 minutes. Accept a motion to approve.
The April 10th, 2019 minutes, I've got one little change that I think it's on where we discussed the library board. It says there are 2 appointments. Today were previous nominees that were denied. It was only 1. With that modification, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes with that one minor correction. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next, we have a little house cleaning to do, a 2018 supplemental appropriations resolution. I'd accept a motion to open a public hearing to consider that appropriation.
I'll move that we open the public hearing to approve the 2018 supplemental appropriation resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open public hearing for the consideration of the appropriation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Alrighty, we discussed this at our last meeting, but do we have any discussion of this?
Commissioners, I don't have anything to add over and above what we discussed at our last meeting. Michelle Schroet is here, our finance manager is here to answer any questions that you might have. But again, as we talked at our last meeting, this is a pretty routine item to clean up some details from last year's budget. Just as an aside from that, since our last conversation, we have wrapped up most of the heavy lifting in the audit process. We had a wrap-up meeting with our auditors yesterday, and I just want to pass on my kudos to Michelle and her team. The results, the preliminary results of our audit are excellent. We've made a lot of progress in the last few years. You all have done an awful lot of work. The current condition of the county's finances is excellent. So again, this resolution is really just squaring up some of the details from last year's budget.
Okay, yeah, because my understanding of it, as we talked last week, was at our last meeting, was Road and Bridge had closed out a lease early, so we spent a little bit more than programmed, but are saving tax dollars and interest, and then the others were all related to just bundling all the costs of Sun Country into the appropriate funds, so not any additional spending, but just putting it in the right columns. Any comments, guys?
No, I think that it's in the 2.5 years that Chris, you and I have been county commissioners, we've seen the evolution of the finance department in a very, very positive way.
Alrighty.
I don't have any.
Okay, yeah, and thanks for the update on the audit from 18. That kind of cements all of this together. Do we have any public comment? Susan?
Susan Schick, 4122 Down West Ride, Elizabeth. So my question with regards to this supplemental appropriation, I may misunderstand what additional unanticipated funds means, but this sounds to me like we're taking $450,000 from the county general fund, from the sales and use fund, and from the road and bridge fund to augment a PID, which, according to an election, these aren't the numbers that were agreed to in an election. So I'd like to get the correct final costs and financing for this project. My understanding from county documents is that the county commissioners approved a ballot initiative for the November 2017 ballot, which allowed Sun Country resident voters to incur an additional property tax burden to fund the paving of some roadways in their subdivision. The terms those voters approved were a $2.8 million bond with a total repayment of $3.185 million, with interest not to exceed 5%. The county accepted a paving project bid of 2.07, which was below what was in the ballot, which had 2.8 million. So, and that bid came from Rocky Mountain Excavating. Then, for some unexplained reason, the commissioners negotiated a bond loan totaling only 1.8 million, whereas the ballot said it would be a 2.8 million bond, and at a 4.2% interest, which was lower than the 5%, which was what the voters had agreed to. And then a resolution was passed authorizing that change from the ballot to completely different figures. And then subsequently, the commissioners passed a resolution authorizing a loan from the county general fund of up to $900,000 interest-free to the Sun Country PID for the road paving. In August of 2018, a supplemental budget appropriation authorized a loan from the Sales and Use Tax Fund of $264,811 for the project. Today, we're authorizing $450,000 for the project out of Road and Bridge and Sales and Use. So I would like to understand why the county residents are footing the bill for almost a third, or maybe over a third of this PID effort when it wasn't what was on the ballot. It appears from the documentation that the board made an intentional decision to alter an election result to benefit a select group of voters in the county at the expense of other voters in the county. If I'm misunderstanding that, I'd appreciate some clarification on that, and I'm available after the meeting for a discussion on that. And I'd also like to point out that I look at the vendor payments that are on the county website as my personal checkbook as to how the county's spending my tax dollars. There are no 2019 vendor payments on the county website, and we're into April already. 2018 is also incomplete, and many of the, and a couple of those that are listed there are just not correct at all. They're not even what they say they are. They are other things. And so I've talked with Michelle. I haven't met Michelle, but I'm assuming you're Michelle. So we've talked about this. But I'd like to see maybe some additional funding put to the finance department for additional personnel so that we can, take care of things like that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, we'll take care of the vendor payments. Yeah, and any feedback or, happy to talk at any time about the financing of the Sun Country project, but the numbers you mentioned were not, they were all to not exceed. So no, we did not exceed 5%. We did not exceed 2.8 million in bonding, and we will not exceed 3.15 million in payback. And the county at the end of this will be paid back any money that was loaned to get the project going. And the monies we did sign up for outside of the PID were the oversight, administration, RFP, management costs, the other things that the county would have been responsible for had we taken taxpayer dollars broadly from across the county to pave those roads within the subdivision, which are county roads. If there's no other public comment at this time, and seeing none, I'll close public comment. And I would accept a motion to pass this appropriations resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2018 supplemental appropriation resolution.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second to accept resolution 19- to be determined, supplemental appropriation to the Elbert County 2018 budget. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, next item of business we have is, oh, thank you. I will now close public hearing, so we don't keep it open for 3 weeks.
The recorder here gets upset if we don't close the appropriate meetings. I move that we close the appropriation meeting.
Hearing, yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to close public hearing on the appropriation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Amanda is happy. So, next item we have is the proposed employee referral bonus program policy.
Commissioners, thank you. I don't have anything to add over the conversation we had at our last meeting. There are no changes between that presentation and today. This is in response to some recruitment challenges that we've had in some of our hard-to-fill positions. And so this is a program that will allow current employees to refer and receive a reward if the referral of a candidate is successful. So we'll monitor it and see if it's successful in helping us fill positions in our law enforcement and some of our other difficult to fill positions. And check back in when we've had a little bit of experience with it.
Just as a clarification, as I read it, is the only time that a referral is actually, bonus is actually paid is if the referred to person is actually hired.
If they're hired and they are here for a particular period of time, so yeah, there's some controls in there to make sure that we don't have any trouble with kind of gaming the system there. There's some confidentiality issues too in the Human Resources Department that we're having conversations about to make sure that there's some integrity to the process.
Any comment? No. Okay. Any public comment on this item? Okay. Okay. Seeing none, I would accept a motion to adopt this policy.
I'll move that we approve the employee reference bonus program policy.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the referral bonus program. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, we have coming up another public hearing, this one for a new liquor license. I'd accept a motion to open public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we open a public hearing on the Naked Goat new hotel restaurant liquor license.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to open public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. We're in public hearing now. Amanda, were you presenting this one?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
The applicant, Gina Dunham, DBA The Naked Goat, is requesting the Board of County Commissioners to approve a brand new hotel restaurant liquor license application. They would sell beer, wine, malt, vinous, and spirituous liquors to the public for consumption on site. The location is actually two locations, 6739 and 6741 Lavelle Avenue in Elbert, Colorado. The buildings are connected and there is an opening in between, as you can see on the map that I provided. The applicant has provided a petition to show interest in the area and to support the community. They are in compliance with all state requirements. All of the applications and paperwork have been provided and fees have been paid. We did a background check and staff has no concerns with that at this time. The inspection of the building was completed and it does match with the floor plan that they provided. We don't have any concerns at this time regarding this liquor license, and staff does recommend approval.
Any questions?
I have none.
No. And just, I guess to clarify, it's a new hotel restaurant liquor license is the title. It's just a restaurant. We don't have a new hotel showing up.
Correct,
in-
it's just it's the liquor license type.
Yeah, all right. That's, just wanted to make
No
sure that was
hotel.
clear. As we're in public hearing, I'd open this for public comment. Do we have any public comment on this liquor license? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and I'd accept a motion to approve the liquor license for the Naked Goat.
I'll move that we approve the liquor license for the Naked Goat.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the liquor license as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Take a motion to close public hearing.
I so move.
Okay,
I'm just curious what a naked goat looks like.
go down to Albert. All right,
I'll second.
okay. Motion and a second to close public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are out of public hearing. Moving on to board planning. For the next meeting, obviously minutes for this meeting. I think I'd heard that Eric was going to give us a presentation on what he's been working on for economic development. Do we have any
yes.
items?
We do have a few items teed up for our next meeting. One of them is a wrap-up report from Eric Larson relating to his recommendations on economic development. And as you can probably tell, I'm stalling because I'm not pulled up with the right agenda just yet.
It's okay.
So bear with me for a second. And we'll have a wrap-up report. Thank you. I knew I was missing something. We'll have a wrap-up report on the Pedal the Plains event in terms of coverage and the finances of it, and lessons learned in terms of future events. And I think that's. We will also have a proclamation recognizing Small Business Week in Elbert County, Colorado. So that's what we've got for the 8th.
I will have a liquor license renewal for High Test Liquor in Elbert.
Would you be willing to give us an update on the IT study that you're working on?
Yes. Anything you're looking at? Okay. All right, that gets a good start anyway. So we are next scheduled to hear a special use permit for the Once Upon a Time wedding venue. That'll be at 1 p.m. in this room today. So we are in recess until that time. So thanks for coming out, folks.